Alright, so we'll start video 3, part 3 of this. This is the final one of this, and then we have one more video afterwards. We'll jump right into this one. Because I'm curious to see what he's going to say about California. Because again, you don't hear any accent here on this. It's from people that come from other states. People born in California, born and raised, it's just plain English. Flat. Alright, so moving on.
Eric Singer, dialect coach. The map tour of North American accents continues. If you missed parts 1 and 2, you can check them out here. We're diving into part 3 from the West. Let's talk about California. Let's talk about Southern California, another part of the country where we have some really exciting ongoing change. So just like in some contemporary English accents, a more open oral posture, a lower jaw is lowering some vowel sounds, most noticeably the dress and trap vowels. There are a bunch of vowel sounds moving around here. Goose and goat can both be very fronted, and the short I vowel, the kit vowel, is being split in two. Before NG, it's likely to sound like E, so thing, going, just like the rest of the West, but otherwise it's lowered like dress and trap. So bid gets closer to bed, miss begins to sound like mess, and so on. So of course, if you take this accent and like turn the dial up to 11, we're talking about a stereotypical surfer accent, like sort of a Bill and Ted's kind of thing. You can hear that in a clip here when they say excellent, that's a lower dress vowel.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
It's very much change in progress, so stay tuned. And of course, LA County has the highest Latinx population in the country, so...
Okay, alright. I always thought that was just simply, like, I just thought that was like the way like the youth talked and shit. I didn't know that was actually considered like an accent, like a California accent. Alright, okay, you learn something every day. I mean, we've certainly learned a lot, but cool, and I live here, so, I mean, albeit I do live in the Northern California, but anyway, very surprising.
I'm going to turn this over to Megan again.
Hi again. Now I'm going to talk about Chicano English. The majority of Chicano English speakers reside in the US Southwest and California, and in Chicago. Chicano English is heavily influenced by Mexican Spanish. Spanish has been in this region longer than English has. In 1848, Mexico ceded this land to the US. Because of this history, Mexican Spanish has been influencing the English of the area for a really long time. One of my favorite features is devoicing of word final Z. So the sound Z is a voiced sound. You can actually tell if you put your fingers here right by your throat and you do the Z sound, zzz, you'll feel vibration. With devoicing, we use the voiceless equivalent, which is an S. So the Z sounds at the end of words turn into more of an S sound. You can hear this devoicing in the plural form of chair. Chairs becomes chairs. You can hear that feature here.
He did things, he did things, he did things.
Another remarkable feature of Chicano English is that there's less vowel reduction. So it's a little subtle, but I'll try to show you how it sounds. I say because, and someone who would reduce the vowel would say because. I say together, and someone would reduce the vowel to together. Today, today. You can hear the features in this native speaker clip.
To hear, and to listen to everyone.
Thanks, Megan. While we're in the Southwest with Chicano English, let's make a quick stop in the Navajo Nation. Kalina?
On this stop, we will be visiting the traditional homelands of the Navajo people in the Four Corners area. The same devoicing feature found in Chicano English can also be found in Navajo English. You can hear a native speaker here.
I want him to recognize all Indian tribes.
The second feature here is a glottal replacement of final consonants. You can hear the glottal stop instead of a T.
Well, I want it to hear.
Back to Eric.
Thank you, Kalina. Next up, here's Nicole to talk about African American language in California.
We know that African Americans in California participate in local features such as ooh fronting and up talk. You can hear that here.
I'm Imani Dorn. Tuesdays, too soon to do that. Tuesdays.
A 2016 study found bat retraction, or the A vowel being pronounced further back in the mouth, among Bakersfield African Americans. You can hear that in this clip.
I'll be right back, and then we can stack those boxes. Right back, right back.
And now the map tour continues with Eric.
As we move north from California, up in the Pacific Northwest, we've definitely got that caught merger. They sound the same up here, just like they do everywhere in the West and in Canada. But one thing you hear a lot up here is a lip-rounded vowel for it, aw. So here we might talk about a hot pot. Oh, there's a little pocket around San Francisco that doesn't have the caught merger, by the way. So unlike the whole rest of California, the whole West Coast really, caught and caught sound distinct here, like they do in most of the South and the East. Just a little dialect island. Up over the border in Vancouver, you'll hear that same lot rounding, but you'll also start to get raising and tensing in the trap vowel when it comes right before a g sound, like in bag, agriculture, flag. Similar to what you can hear over in Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota again, there's a fascinating dialect pocket in Alaska, the Matanuska-Susitna Valley, that can sound uncannily like those broad Minnesota accents. A lot of people suddenly noticed this in 2008 when Sarah Palin, the former governor of Alaska, shot to national fame as the Republican vice presidential nominee. You can see that here in this clip.
I appreciate this privilege of being able to be here and speak with Americans.
We want to keep our AAA bonding rating in Minnesota.
It turns out that in the 1930s, there was a huge migration of farmers to the Matsu Valley from Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So that's how that happened. Okay, back to Canada. Now, Kalina's originally from the Northwest Territories. Let's go back to her.
There are 9 official languages spoken in the Northwest Territories, including Norse Slavey, which is a part of the Athabascan language family. I'm inspired by the many revitalization efforts by our people to save our languages. For example, Language Nest in Hawaii. This is where young people are immersed in the language every day with elders in the community. Another revitalization method is a translation of popular television shows and movies into Indigenous languages. Because of all of this, I have tremendous hope for both the future of our Native American languages and of Native American English.
Thank you, Kalina. Okay, let's go to Toronto, and let's talk for just a minute about probably the most famous Canadian accent feature there is. It's called Canadian raising, though you may not have heard it called that, but you're probably familiar with oot and a boot, yeah? Of course, Canadians aren't actually saying oot and a boot. What they're doing is raising the start of the diphthong in words like out and about, so that instead of it starting very open, ow, it's starting from somewhere in the middle of the mouth, oh. It only affects syllables that end in an unvoiced consonant, so words like out, about, house, mouth. In words like how, now, loud, rouse, Canadians still use that wide ow diphthong. Canadian raising isn't only in that class of words though, the mouth vowel. It also affects the price vowel in the same way, so that the starting point of words like write, life, type, mice can get raised too. But words like rise, five, tide, fly keep their full I diphthong. You can hear the contrast between both of those if I say something like, that's a fine price for a brown house. So out in the Atlantic provinces of Canada, we'll hear accents that are in some cases almost unrecognizably different from what you'll hear in most of the rest of Canada. And once again, isolation and length of time are the key factors here. Newfoundland accents are maybe the most distinctly different of all. I'm giving this one a go even though I've never done it before, so be gentle please, you Newfies. Now there's lots of variation here, of course, and most younger folks aren't going to sound like this, but this would be an accent from the far southeast of Newfoundland, down below St. John's. We could go on about this one all day. Sounds a bit Irish, doesn't it? This part of Newfoundland was in fact settled by Irish people, mostly from County Wexford. There's quite a lot of reasons why this particular old Newfoundland accent sounds Irish. Vowel sounds, of course, intonation, aspiration, but you'll also hear the Irish slit T. What's a slit T? It's a T sound made with a very soft closure at the tip of the tongue, or not even really quite a full closure at all. There's a slit left for the air to escape through. What? That? Hit it. I could stay here all day, but it's about time to wrap this up. So let's dip back down across the border back into the States. and end close to where we started, in northeastern New England.
To be honest with you, a lot of Canadian accents share a lot of similarities with U.S. accents. I mean, yeah, they do sound a little bit different depending on where, from what location migrants came from, but it sounds the same. Like, not the same, it has a lot of similarities to it. There's a lot of these accents that, I mean, again, if you would have no video on and it would just be the audio of him saying what he's saying and comparing it to from another region of the States, it sounds a lot alike. Just saying. Just saying. Again, from the perspective of someone that's seeing it from the outside that doesn't know how to speak in any accent whatsoever, a lot of them do sound very similar. Very similar. A lot of the ups and downs are the same. Like he explained, like that, like instead of speaking words with like an open, like they do it like in right in the middle. And there have been other examples in the first video that we saw where he explained sort of the same for like parts in the East Coast, like he was explaining. So pretty interesting. But now we're done with Canada because of this specific video is North American accents. But now we're back in the U.S.
Remember that caught merger? Well, the whole western U.S. has it, and all of Canada.
It really is, Invader. It really is, and specifically, again, when you're comparing between Canada and the U.S., it's small things, small details that change, but a lot of the accents are, again, very similar.
And so does this part of New England. Goes down about as far as Boston. Rhode Island doesn't generally have it, but here in Maine, you've got that caught merger, so all the vowel sounds in those two big groups of words are merged. They all sound like aw here. You know what doesn't all sound the same, though? Mary, marry, and Mary. Now, they do in my normal accent, Mary, Mary, Mary. And the same is true for almost all of North America, but most speakers up here still have distinct pronunciations for all three. Mary, marry, Mary. Even more interestingly, at least in some older folk speech still, the historical distinction between horse and horse is still preserved. So if your horse has a sore throat, you might have a hoarse horse. You can still hear this distinction in parts of Ireland and Scotland and parts of the US South, but that's about it. This is one of the last places you'll hear it. And that's it. That's our last stop. So, listen, let me just say again, this is not meant to be a comprehensive tour of all North American accents. We've tried to be at least somewhat representative and to include some insights into how and why accents might differ from place to place. I sincerely want to thank all of the linguists and language experts who've helped out. And if you want to follow them, here they are one more time.
You can find me on Twitter at Megan D. Figueroa, and you can also find me at my podcast, The Vocal Fries Pod.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Mixed Linguist.
If you want to learn more about the Gullah language and what I'm getting into, follow me on Instagram at @SunbaShow, Twitter at SunbaShow, or sunbashow.com.
You can find me at amonidorndialects.com.
This video would have had to be about 10 times longer if it were really going to be systematic and thorough. But these are some sounds I love and some things I think are interesting, and I had a lot of fun sharing it with you. If I've piqued your interest about...
Piqued my interest. That was fucking awesome. Loved it. Oh. I absolutely love these Saturday topics. Sometimes it's just, not sometimes, the majority of the times you learn a lot. Sometimes we do Am I the Antagonist, which is more like a shock thing and trying to determine if someone is actually the antagonist or not. But when we do these learning shows and just, I deeply enjoy it very, very much.